Did you know that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Superman both got their start in Toronto? A man named Robert L. May, depressed and broken-hearted, stared out of his drafty apartment window in the chilling December night. His 4-year-old daughter, Barbara, sat on his lap, quietly sobbing. Bob's wife, Evelyn, was dying of cancer. Little Barbara couldn't understand why her mummy could never come home. Barbara looked up into her dad's eyes and asked, "Why isn't Mummy just like everybody else's mummy?" Bob's jaw tightened and his eyes welled with tears. Her question brought waves of grief, but also of anger. It had been the story of Bob's life. Life always had to be different for Bob. When he was a kid, Bob was often bullied by the other boys. He was too little at the time to compete in sports. He was often called names he'd rather not remember. From childhood, Bob was different and never seemed to fit in. Bob, after completing college, married his loving wife, Evelyn, and was grateful to get a job as a copywriter at the Timothy Eaton department store in Toronto during the Great Depression. Then he was blessed with his little girl, but it was all too short-lived. Evelyn's bout with cancer stripped them of all their savings, and now Bob and his daughter were forced to live in a 2-room apartment in the poorer area of Toronto. Evelyn died just days before Christmas, 1938. Bob struggled to give hope to his child, for whom he couldn't even afford to buy a Christmas gift. But if he couldn't buy a gift, he was determined to make one. A storybook. Bob had created an animal character in his own mind and told the animal's story to little Barbara to give her comfort and hope. Again and again, Bob told the story, embellishing it with more teaching each time. Who was the character? What was the story all about? The story Bob May created was his own autobiography in fable form. The character he created was a misfit outcast like he was. The name of the character, a little reindeer named Rudolph, with a big, shiny nose. Bob finished the book just in time to give it to his little girl on Christmas Day. But the story doesn't end there. The general manager of the T. Eaton store caught wind of the little storybook and offered Bob May a nominal fee to purchase the rights to print the book. They went on to print Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and distribute it to the children visiting Santa Claus in their stores. By 1946, Eaton's had printed and distributed more than 6 million copies of Rudolph. That same year, a major publisher wanted to purchase the rights from Eaton's to print an updated version of the book. In an unprecedented gesture of kindness, the CEO of Eaton's returned all rights back to Bob May. The book became a bestseller. Many toy and marketing deals followed, and Bob May, now remarried with a growing family, became wealthy from the story he created to comfort his grieving daughter. But the story doesn't end there either. Bob's brother-in-law, Johnny Marks, made a song adaptation to Rudolph. Though the song was turned down by such popular vocalists as Bing Crosby and Dinah Shore, it was recorded by the singing cowboy Gene Autry. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was released in 1949 and became a phenomenal success. selling more records than any other Christmas song with the exception of White Christmas. The gift of love that Bob May created for his daughter so long ago kept on returning back to bless him again and again. And Bob May learned the lesson, just like his dear friend Rudolph, that being different isn't so bad. In fact, being different can be a blessing. A true Canadian story. And now, finally, I cannot help but tell a little story about many of us who are in the same age group as I am. Two elderly ladies were out driving around town to see the Christmas lights. Both could barely see over the dashboard. As they were cruising along, they came to a major crossroads. The stoplight was red, but they just drove through it. The woman in the passenger seat thought to herself, "I must be losing it. I could have sworn we just went through a red light." After a few more minutes, they came to another major junction, and the light was red again. Again, they went right through. The woman in the passenger seat was almost sure that the light had been red, but was concerned that she was losing it. She was getting nervous. At the next juncture, sure enough, the light was red, and they went on through. So she turned to the other woman and said, "Mildred, did you know that we just ran through 3 red lights in a row? You could have killed us both." Mildred turned to her and said, "Oh, am I driving?" Merry Christmas.